Today, our topic is all about cookery. Let's go first to the basic cooking principles. Cooking. So what is cooking? Cooking is the practice or skill of preparing food by combining, mixing, and heating ingredients. So hindi naman na sa atin bago kung ano yung cooking. Ito yung ginagawa natin sa pang-araw-araw para tayo ay makakain. Ginagawa natin na ipag-combine ang iba't ibang ingredients para makabuo ng iba't ibang putahe katulad ng mga ulam na adobo, sinigang, kare-kare, or kaldereta. So, alam natin lahat yan. Yung iba, paborito pa ang pagluluto. Next is purpose of cooking. So, ano nga ba ang purpose ng cooking? To increase their nutritive value and render them more digestible, to develop their flavors, and to safeguard health by destroying germs and parasites. So, ang purpose ng cooking is, syempre, para makain o ma-digest natin ng maayos ang mga pagkain na kinakailangan lutuin bago kainin. Kasi meron namang pagkain na hindi na kailangan lutuin katulad ng mga prutas na pakwan or orange, 'di ba? Pagkain din 'yon. So, nag-aalis ito ng mga mikrobyo katulad sa mga laman, meat ng baboy, ng baka or gulay at iba pa. Tsaka para din sumarap yung lasa ng ating pagkain. So, sa basic cooking principle, meron tayong tinatawag na 3 ways of heat. So, first is conduction. Conduction transfers the heat using direct contact. Food is heated directly in a metal pan, in a liquid, or surrounded by air. So, for example, gusto mo kumain ng boiled egg. So, kailangan na magpakulo ka muna ng tubig sa pan. At kapag kumulo na ang tubig, saka mo ilalagay ang itlog. So, ang tubig ang nagtatransfer ng heat sa itlog. Ayun ang example ng conduction. Second is convection. Convection heat transfers occurs faster than conduction. Convection occurs by the movement of air, liquid, or steam around the food. So, mas mabilis daw na mag-transfer ng heat ang convection kaysa sa conduction. Third is radiation. Radiation heat transfer occurs when microwave, light waves, or infrared energy, heat waves, are spread into the food. So, yung pagluluto sa microwave oven is the best example. Nagtatransfer yung heat through radiation. Balance. So, isa ito sa kinakailangan natin para sumarap yung luto natin. Balance is the perfect ratio of sweet, salty, spicy, bitter, sour, and umami. What is umami? Umami is the Japanese term meaning savory, richness, or fullness of food. Next is, seasoning is the key. Para magkaroon ng masarap na lasa ang ating mga lulutuin, nilalagyan natin ng iba't ibang seasoning. The single most powerful thing you can do to enhance the flavor of your food is to season it properly. So, kinakailangan na balanse ang ating mga lulutuin para maging masarap ito. Siyempre, depende din sa panlasa ng mga tao dahil may iba't iba naman tayong panlasa. Maaaring masarap sa akin, pero hindi naman masarap para sa inyo. Sa pagluluto, dapat nabigyan mo din ng pagmamahal para mas sumarap pa ang ihahain mo. Kinakailangan din na alamin natin kung mas sustansya ba ito o hindi. At kung nakakasama na para sa kalusugan natin. Thank you.
Good morning everyone. Now, let's tackle about the cooking terms and procedure. So, alam ko naman karamihan sa atin, sa edad natin, marami na tayong mga na-experience na luto o natikman ng mga dishes na talaga namang bago sa ating panlasa. So sa isang chef, sa mga gustong maging chef at gumaling sa pagluluto, hindi nyo ma-achieve yung pagka-mastery sa pagluluto kung hindi nyo alam yung cooking terms and procedure. So paano nga ba yun? So first ay yung basic na lang para sa atin to, since sa bahay naman, alam kong araw-araw din natin itong ginagawa at pinapagawa sa atin ng mga nanay natin. Yung first ay slice, dice, chop, and mince. So what does it mean? Slice refers to cutting large ingredients into similarly shaped or flat pieces. So sa pag-slice, meaning naghihiwa. Diba yun yung pinaka basic na natin ginagawa? Hinihiwa lang natin yung mga ingredients sa kung anong shape na gusto natin. Hinihiwa lang natin using knife. So next naman ay dice, which means to cut ingredients into square-shaped pieces that are smaller and more precise than a chop. So yung dice naman, para siyang maliliit na hiwa lang. Kunyari sa isang tokwa, hiwain mo lang siya ng maliliit. Yun yung tawag ay dice. Maliliit na square lang siya. So next is chop. Chop, this is a general method for cutting food into bite-sized pieces. A large blended chef knife is helpful for chopping, dicing, and mincing. When a recipe calls for finely chopped, aim for pieces about 1/8 inch in size. So yung chop naman is yung kadalasan natin ginagawa sa mga onion or sa mga condiments, china-chop natin siya sa maliliit panggisa. So next naman is yung mince, where it means it is the smallest cut. Sa bawang, yun yung example niya. Sa bawang, yung hinihiwa natin siya ng maliliit, sobrang liit na parang giniling na bawang na siya. Ganun yung example ng mince. So next naman ay yung dash, pinch and smidgen and seasoning to taste. Ito naman yung sa taste naman natin sa food. So, ang first is yung dash, which is approximately 1/8 of teaspoon. Yun yung sukat sa teaspoon natin. So, yung pinch naman is even smaller, about 1/16 of teaspoon. Yun yung pinch, yun yung kinukurot lang. Yung asin, yung paminta, o yung anumang condiments na dry ingredients. Pinch lang siya. Kurot lang. So, yung snod is smidgen. Smidgen is so small. It's not even worth talking about. 1/32 teaspoon. But you might see if from time to time it's often used when you want to hunting note of the flavor like nutmeg in a savory dish. So, which means yung smidgen, yung maliit lang siya na teaspoon. Yung pinakamaliit na teaspoon. Yun lang yung meaning ng smidgen. Yung pinakamaliit na bilang sa teaspoon. Sa mga cups. So, next naman is seasoning to taste. Where it means yun lang yung mga pampalasa. Like yung salt, yung pepper, yung mga magic sarap, yung ginisa mix, yung bechin. Yan lang yung mga seasoning to taste na sinasabi nila. So, next naman na procedures and terms is yung roast, bake, and broil. So, firstly, alam nyo naman to, yung roast and bake. Ano na yan? Sobrang basic na para sa atin yan, na marinig pa lang natin. We already know the meaning. So, roast and bake are actually the same thing. If you preheat your oven to 375 degrees, the heated air then surrounds the baking dish or roasting pan on all sides and remains constant, cooking your food at an even rate. It is usually called baking. Yun yung sinasabi na baking yung sa oven. Oo, yung sa oven yung sa mga tinapay or other dishes na ginagamitan ng oven. Na nagsasurround siya ng heated air. So, next naman is yung sa sa roasting. Yun naman, yung sa roast, it refers to the meat and vegetables. So, yun yung meaning ng roasting. Next naman is yung broil. It is similar to bake except the food is directly exposed to very high heat on one side only on the top side. So yun yung meaning ng broil. So next term and procedure naman is saute, sear, brown, and char. These cooking techniques are more dry heat cooking methods and they all have the same basic principle. So ito, mga cooking terms na to ay pare-pares lang sila ng parang they have the same procedures pero may pagkakaiba din sila. So yung una natin is yung saute. So ito naririnig nyo to mostly sa mga chef na napapanood natin sa social media. Saute muna. Parang gisa lang siya sa Tagalog. So, ito yung meaning ng saute. Saute means cooking food quickly over high heat, usually using oil or fat as the cooking medium. It literally means to jump in French, referring to the constant motion of food in the pan either by stirring or shaking. So, yun nga yung sabi ko, saute means gisa lang sa Tagalog. Yun yung nagigisa ka na sibuyas ng bawang. Minsan, yung mga magagaling na, they are using the pan. Tapos, nila. Parang pinapatalon nila sa kawali. So, yung next naman is yung shear. What does it mean when we say shear? So, shearing cooks an ingredients over very high heat for a brief period of time. Shearing seals in the flavor of and gives you food and delicious crusty exterior and the moist tender interior. So yung parang yung shear parang other way siya sa pag-boil pero napakaunting tubig lang. It means parang binibigyan mo lang ng lasa yung tubig para sumali yung lasa ng karne o nung anumang niluluto mo doon sa ibang ingredients. So, yun yung sinasabi niya. It gives the food a crusty exterior and a moist tender interior. So, yung example doon is yung steak. Crusty siya outside, pagpasok mo sa loob, sobrang tender. So, next naman is yung brown. Brown is generally interchangeable with shear. When shearing, it's important to cook with small batches. Overcrowding the pan causes the temperature to drop, preventing a good crust and steaming your ingredients instead of shearing them. So, yung brown is parang kabaliktaran, parang siya. Pag hindi mo kayang gawin yung shear, you can use or you can do the brown. Parang lang siya. You are using the pan para lang maluto ng gusto yung isang meat. Ganun lang kasimple yung brown. Okay, next is char. Char is similar to shear, except it takes everything to the next level. Charred food is not burnt, but it is almost burnt. You can char by exposing the ingredients directly to the flame underneath a broiler, or you can place it in a very hot pan or on a grill grate. So, yon ang meaning ng char. So, yan yung may picture tayo dyan. Tignan nyo yung bawat picture para mas ma-analyze nyo kung ano yung meaning ng bawat procedure. So, next. Ito naman ay familiar na sa atin itong mga gantong procedure. So, deep fry and pan fry. Believe it or not, frying is actually a dry heat cooking technique. No water is used in the cooking process. So, yung deep fry, alam naman na natin yung meaning niya, which means fully submerging your ingredients in hot oil. Since it is completely submerged, the ingredient cooks on all sides and gets a fantastically crisp interior. So, yung best example sa deep fry is yung pagluluto ng French fries. Diba? Yung sa nakikita natin sa Jollibee. Hindi natin siya nakikita pero naiintindihan na natin kung paano yung deep fry. Yung marami siyang oil, then dapat lulubog muna kasi pag onti lang yung oil, didikit siya sa pan. Diba ganun yun? So, ganun nga yung deep fry. So, next naman is pan fry. which means uses much less oil than deep frying but more oil than a typical saute. The recipe will usually specify the amount of oil, but a general rule of thumb is the oil should be come halfway up the side of the ingredients. So ito naman yung regular na pagpa-fry lang natin ng ulam. Like sa isda or sa itlog, sa scrambled egg, saktong lang siya, mantika para maluto yung iluluto natin. So next naman is, ang ating next procedure is braise. Braise stands for the category of its own. It's a combination cooking method that uses dry cooking technique in the beginning to brown the meat, followed by the most cooking methods to finish cooking in its liquid. Braising almost always refers to cooking something low and slow to tenderize taut cuts and well-worked muscle technique. So ito naman, parang lang siya. Yung katulad sa longganisa, parang binoboil muna natin siya using water. So yun lang yung pinaka basic na example ng braise. So next naman is stew. Alam nyo ba yung Korean stew? Yun yung it is wherein really another kind of braising. When cooking large cut of meats, it's called braising. When you cut the meat into smaller pieces and can completely submerge them in the liquid, it's called stewing. So yung mga Korean stew nga, diba, may naman doon, may baboy, pero bago mo ilagay yung baboy, timpla ka muna ng ng water niya na may timpla ng pampalasa. Then pagka mainit na siya, tsaka mo ilalagay yung karne. Then hayaan mo na siyang maluto doon. Without the fire. Nang mainit lang yung tubig. That is the meaning of stew. Okay, for our last procedure and cooking terms, we have the boil, simmer, poach, steam, and blanch. So all of these cooking terms involve cooking with water. So they are known as moist cooking method. So yung first is boiling, which alam naman na natin lahat to, pagkukulo lang. So it brings water to a temperature of 212 degrees at sea level. The water is in full motion with bubbles rising rapidly to the surface. Boiling is a common cooking technique for pasta. Many recipes will instruct you to bring water to a boil and reduce it to a simmer. Boiling is also essential for steaming and blanching. So, na rin to, common terms na rin and procedure to sa atin lahat. Kahit naman sa mga bata, medyo alam na rin nila yung gantong procedure. Pagkukulo lang yan, guys. So, next naman is simmering. It refers to the cooking in a liquid that is just below the boiling point, between 180 and 205 degrees. You should see bubble forming, but they should be gentle and not at a full roll. Simmering is the most common moist cooking method, used for everything from simmering stocks and soup to cooking vegetables. So yung simmering lang din para siyang boiling, pero hindi siya aabot doon sa temperature ng water tulad sa boiling. Parang mas mababa o hindi pantay yung init ng tubig tulad doon sa boiling. So next naman is poaching. Poaching falls in the temperature range between 140 and 180 degrees. There should be few to no bubbles in the water, although the water should gently ripple to maintain its heat. This method is perfect for cooking delicate foods like fish and eggs that would be disturbed or destroyed by aggressive bubbles. So yung poach, para lang siya, yung example na ito is yung sa sunny side up na egg. Pero hindi siya ipa-fry. Sa water siya gagamitin kung alam niyo yung ganong method. Ganon ang poaching. Lang siya, sa water lang niluluto. Ganon yung tawag ng poaching, parang lang siya. Hindi siya abot sa boiling method. Tapos, yung loob niya, buo pa, pero hindi pa ganong luto. That is the meaning of poaching. So, next is steaming, which means steaming uses boiling water, although the ingredients never touch the water itself. By placing a steamer basket above boiling water, the ingredients cook at 212 degrees without losing any of its flavors to the water. So, yon. Sa steaming naman, so isa rin siyang common term para sa atin sa pagluluto ng siomai, ng siopaw, and others. Ganun lang, ayun ang tinatawag na steaming. Magpapaboil muna tayo ng water, then meron siyang tibang stainless na basket. Ilalagay natin siya sa taas without touching the water. Yung usok ng tubig, yun na yung magluluto dun sa food. So, next naman is yung blanching. It also involves boiling water and is well known for setting the color of a vegetable. The ingredient is plunged into boiling water for a brief time before being removed to an ice bath. This process brings out a vibrant, bright color without cooking the vegetable all the way through. So, yung blanching means, para lang siyang, hindi mo siya lulutuin talaga. Andun pa rin yung color niya at yung crunchiness ng gulay. Para lang siyang ibababad mo lang saglit sa mainit na tubig. Then, kukunin na rin agad. So, most commonly, ginagamitan siya ng ice bath. Yung mga ganung process para mas ma-maintain yung crunchiness ng gulay. So, what does it mean when we say ice bath? It is a large bowl filled with ice and water. Dropping the food in here immediately halts the cooking process, preserving bright colors and optimal texture of ingredients from peas to hard-boiled eggs. Ganon ang process nun. Parang kino-combine yung blanching sa ice bath. So, yung ice bath, most commonly used siya sa mga tulad sa kadalasan ginagawa siya dun sa gulay ng kare-kare or sa others na kailangan ng crunchiness sa ingredients. Thank you for listening and I hope you learned something about cooking terms and procedures. Pasensya na po sa tilawak ng manok. Bye-bye!
Good morning. My topic for today is recognize and maintain cooking tools and equipment. Our first tools is knife. This tools is used for cutting meat, dicing vegetables, disjointing some cuts, slicing, and chopping. This is very familiar with us. This is with handle and it is made of steel. Next tools is spatula. This tools is used to mix, spread, and lift material including foods, drugs, plaster, and paints. This is usually made of wood. The handle is made by wood and the upper part is made in plastic. The next tools is peeler. These tools used to remove the skin of vegetables and fruits. It is more useful than using a knife when removing the skin of vegetables. The next tool was tongs. These tools is used to grip something and lift it. They are usually jointed near the handle with two grippers at the other end so that you can one-handedly grasp objects. The next tool is measuring cup. This tool is used primarily to measure the volume of liquid or bulk solid cooking ingredients such as flour and sugar. Next tool is whisk. This tool is used to blend ingredients smooth and to incorporate air into a moisture in a process known as whisking or whipping. This whisk is usually used when we are baking. Most whisks consist of a long narrow handle with a series of wire loops joined at the end. This whisk is usually made of steel. The next tool is measuring spoon. This tool is used to measure an amount of ingredient, either liquid or dry, when cooking. Measuring spoons may be made of plastic, metal, and other materials. They are also available in sizes including the teaspoon, the smallest, and the tablespoon. Next tools is blender. This blender is used to mix things together for food preparation, liquefying, chopping, or pureeing. We usually use this when we are about to make a fruit shake or like mango shake. Uh, we also use this for blending vegetables like that. Next tools is grater. This tool is used to grate ingredients, primarily cheese. You can also grate some vegetables and solid ingredients. The last tools is spoon. This tools is used primarily for eating liquid or semi-liquid foods such as soup, stew, or ice cream. Thank you.
Our topic is about food safety and sanitation. Personal hygiene. Personal hygiene is very important in the kitchen while cooking. Hygiene is the first thing people look for in a kitchen. If workers in the kitchen are following the correct rules of personal hygiene. Having a habit of personal hygiene prevents sickness, bacteria, and quality of food served. Next, do not work with food if you have any communicable disease infection. If a person handling food in the kitchen has a disease or infection, should not be working with food because the worker will be using their hands to work with the food. The worker's hand will contain bacteria from the disease or infection that can contaminate the food. Wear clean uniforms and aprons. Clean uniforms, aprons are important in the kitchen because food will be in contact with kitchen uniforms. If the uniforms are not clean, food will come in contact with the dirty uniform and then served. This will also contaminate the food. Always wear a hat or hairnet. Wearing a hat or hairnet prevents hair falling into the food. Finding hair in food leaves a bad impact on the kitchen. Hair can contain many harmful bacteria that can get on the food. Wash hands and exposed part of arms before work and as often as necessary during work. After eating, drinking, or smoking. After using the toilet. After touching or handling anything that can be contaminated with bacteria. Keep your hands away from your face, eyes, hair, and arms. While working in the kitchen, hands are always touching food. Touching your face, eyes, hair, and arms will come in contact with food. From acne, oil, the sweat from the face, eyes, hair, and arms can get into the food. Do not smoke or chew gums while on duty. Smoking or chewing gum on duty can affect food taste, smell, and quality. The smell of smoke or tobacco can affect the food greatly from the strong smell. Chewing gum is also dangerous because it can fall into the food. Cover cuts or sores with clean bandages. Cuts and sores must be covered with bandages. Blood or skin from cuts or sores will end up in the food. Clean bandages will prevent this from happening. If bandages are worn on the hand, they must be clean. Bacteria from dirt bandages can get into the food and cause sickness. Do not sit on workplace. Sitting on work tables can damage and make work tables dirty for food. These rules also goes with cleaning uniform. Sitting on work tables with a dirty uniform can ruin the work tables. That's all. Thank you.